Into a hybrid Toyota vehicle, but you're a little bit worried or concerned over facts like the hybrid maintenance cost versus a non-hybrid Toyota? Well, in this video, we're going to cover 5 facts of the hybrid Toyota vehicles versus the non-hybrid Toyota vehicles, starting with the most important fact number 1. Fact number 1, hybrid maintenance cost versus a non-hybrid Toyota vehicle. So some will say that over the life of your vehicle, if you have a hybrid Toyota, that you will run into a lot more maintenance because there's a lot more electrical components and you've got a big battery that's sitting underneath the vehicle, electric motor, and you don't have that stuff really in the non-hybrid Toyota vehicles. But this is actually not accurate information. First off, let's actually start off with that high voltage massive battery that is sitting usually underneath your floor bed of your hybrid Toyota vehicle that powers your electric hybrid components, etc. It is backed by one of the best manufacturer warranties available. That's right, the hybrid battery itself in Toyota vehicles has a manufacturer warranty of 120 months or 240,000 kilometers. That's a coverage of nearly 10 years for the hybrid related battery. And just so you know, other hybrid related components in your hybrid Toyota vehicle are covered for up to 96 months or 160,000 kilometers. Now, how much can it cost you if you did need to replace your hybrid battery in your hybrid Toyota? Well, some sources have said it can cost anywhere from around $3,000 to $5,000, depending on a number of factors like exactly what year, what model and trim your vehicle is, and if there's any other work related involved. Now, keep in mind, I myself at the store I'm at have never heard of us replacing any hybrid batteries, and I've been there a very long time, and we get thousands of vehicles into our service department every year. Most of them, or a good portion of them, are hybrid Toyotas with hundreds of thousands of kilometers. You got to remember, taxi cab drivers, Uber drivers, high traffic, high distance customers that we do have and see. I haven't recalled anybody getting a hybrid battery replaced. So with that very strong warranty from Toyota, from the manufacturer, is there really anything to worry about in terms of something going wrong when you're talking about your hybrid related components? Because you got some very good and aggressive coverage there. Let's talk about the overall scheduled maintenance on a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota. I'm actually going to put links in the description below that shows you the recommended maintenance, but I'll review it here as well in this video. And you'll see the hybrid related components don't really have any specific or any different maintenance that's required other than changing out the air filter that actually cleans out and filters through the air that's passing through your hybrid high voltage battery, which allows it to stay cool, which allows it to stay working properly. That's really the only extra maintenance that's involved in a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota. In fact, hybrid Toyotas actually have less moving parts that you have to worry about in terms of wear and tear when compared to a non-hybrid Toyota. Did you know hybrid Toyotas actually don't have alternators, they don't have starters, and there's many belts underneath the hood of a non-hybrid Toyota that helps to get the engine going that actually don't exist in a hybrid Toyota vehicle. These are all moving related parts that could wear down over the life of the vehicle on a non-hybrid Toyota that you really don't have to worry about when you are driving a hybrid Toyota vehicle, because there's a lot of electrical components that replace those moving parts. Now that we've taken care of fact number 1, and hopefully now you understand a little bit what is really involved in maintaining a hybrid Toyota, for the most part, it's plug and play. It's very standardized in terms of what you would need to do in a non-hybrid Toyota versus the hybrid. In fact, there's actually less that you need to do other than that little air filter that sits underneath where the hybrid high voltage battery is. Which brings me to my next fact, which is fact number 2, and that is that there is no charging involved when you have a hybrid Toyota vehicle. A lot of consumers, viewers, and customers are still a little bit confused on what needs to happen if you're driving a hybrid, not a plug-in hybrid, but a hybrid Toyota vehicle. So that's a Camry hybrid, Corolla Cross Hybrid, RAV4 Hybrid, Highlander Hybrid, etc. There is no charging involved. It is called regenerative braking. So every time you brake on your vehicle, your hybrid Toyota vehicle, you are actually sending power back to your hybrid high voltage battery. And in fact, this charges it and gets it up to the level that it needs to be so that it's ready for the next time that it needs to be used or for the next time that you need to be driving in hybrid mode. So in fact, our hybrid Toyota vehicles are extremely self-sufficient. There's not much that needs to be done. You can literally just go in the vehicle, drive as if you were driving any other Toyota vehicle in the lineup. Fact number 3, you will save fuel. This is not a question. This is something that has been proven time and time again with every single model that we have. So for example, if you're comparing a non-hybrid Toyota RAV4 versus a hybrid RAV4, there will be a fuel savings. Same thing as the Corolla Cross or Corolla sedan with the hybrid equivalents. Without question, you will save fuel. It doesn't matter if you're doing city driving, highway driving, a combination of both. Now, depending on your exact driving style and habits and a few other factors like what type of temperature or climate you're living in, that's right, the colder the temperature, the less efficient your hybrid powertrain system will be. And that's because there's a chemical reaction that takes place in the hybrid system that actually takes a little bit longer to take place in very cold temperatures. So it means when you're driving in, minus 10, minus 20 degrees temperatures, you will use your combustion engine more than you will use your hybrid powertrain system, but you still will save fuel versus the non-hybrid Toyota. Fact number 4, you will spend more upfront for a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota. Whether it's new or pre-owned, there is generally around a $3,000 to $4,000 price gap between, let's say, a non-hybrid Toyota RAV4 versus a hybrid Toyota RAV4, depending on exactly where you're located and what model year the Toyota is that you're buying. But keep in mind, if you're trying to find a Toyota hybrid on a budget, it's sometimes easier to go with the non-hybrid equivalent because they're priced less from the dealers and from the manufacturers, I would say. But if you're looking for a hybrid Toyota, do keep in mind that you do typically have to spend around $3,000 to $4,000 more. Some models do have a smaller price gap. Some models do have a higher price gap, but generally your upfront cost on a hybrid Toyota vehicle is more than the non-hybrid. Fact number 5, now this has pretty much almost always been the case, but it kind of escalated over the last couple of years with regards to our demand and with regards to the overall wait time. You typically will have to wait a little bit longer for a hybrid Toyota vehicle versus a non-hybrid Toyota vehicle. For example, let's use the RAV4 again. You can probably get yourself into a combustion-only gasoline Toyota RAV4 within a couple of months, depending on the exact trim, model, and where your location is. But if you're looking at the hybrid alternative, it can definitely be double or triple that in terms of a wait time, depending on where you're located again, what model, trim, color combination, etc. So if you need a Toyota vehicle in a hurry, sometimes you might have to go for the non-hybrid option because generally the hybrid equivalent is a longer wait time. Yes, due to the increasingly high demand and popularity of our hybrid Toyota vehicles, waiting for them can sometimes be quite longer than when you're talking about the non-hybrid Toyota vehicle. If you want to know a specific wait time, you can leave me a comment in the comment section below. I'll do my best to get back to you. And again, depending on exactly where you're located and what model and trim you're looking at, these wait times can definitely differ. So in a nutshell, hybrid Toyota vehicles don't necessarily cost more or have anything really different in terms of maintenance cost. Again, taking a look at the two comparisons, check out the links below as well. There's really nothing different that has to be done. In fact, you can argue that there's less to be done on the hybrid Toyota vehicles than the non-hybrid Toyota vehicles. And in terms of over the life long-term wear and tear, think of it as your gasoline combustion engine that has all the moving parts gets a break every once in a while because it yields to your hybrid powertrain system. And when your hybrid powertrain system is active and working to get your vehicle and your Toyota going, while the other moving parts kind of get a little bit of a break. There's more than one reason why you may have decided to purchase a Toyota hybrid vehicle versus a Toyota non-hybrid vehicle, or just a Toyota hybrid in general. A couple of those reasons could be fuel savings, reliability, dependability, resale value, overall maintenance cost. I did do a hybrid maintenance cost and a comparison, a couple videos as well. I'll put a few links in the description below so you can go back later and check out those videos. But what happens when your Toyota hybrid vehicle just isn't giving you the same fuel economy as it was previously, or something has changed about your fuel economy and fuel consumption on your Toyota hybrid vehicle? Well, there could be one reason why this might be the case, and we're going to review it and talk about it just ahead in this video. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to the best Toyota channel on YouTube, the Toyota World YouTube channel, and give a big thumbs up to this video if you currently love the way your Toyota hybrid drives. That's right. One of the other reasons why you might be going for a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota, or why you did go for a hybrid Toyota vehicle, is because of the way they drive, the overall enjoyment and fulfillment that you get in the hybrid powertrain system, especially the latest hybrid powertrain system, which is currently on the new 2025 Toyota Camry. It's called the THS5 hybrid system. It's made with much more compact, smaller, and lighter parts, which gives her a much more enjoyable and responsive acceleration while maintaining the best fuel economy possible. We hope to see this powertrain coming for the next generation redesign Toyota RAV4, but definitely give a thumbs up if you really see the improvement and the difference, the drastic difference in overall vehicle and driving performance and enjoyment. Now, the main reason why this happens when you're taking off and accelerating from stop to go on the hybrid Toyotas is because you have the immediate availability of all the available torque in the vehicle's powertrain system due to the electric motors that respond right away. Getting back to the point of this video, the Toyota hybrid fuel economy is like no other brand, no other manufacturer. Toyota has been doing hybrid for over 20 years, and we really fine-tuned it. And I've got to say, we do it the best. It's available in so many different models and configurations. When you're looking at the Toyota lineup, we have hybrid in almost every model that we offer, but there's a few things that can affect or slightly worsen the fuel economy on your Toyota hybrid vehicle, and one of those factors is the weather. Now, I'm not talking about when you get into your vehicle in the morning and it's a dim, dark, cloudy, rainy day and your Toyota hybrid just doesn't feel like performing. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the temperature specifically. That's right. If you haven't been told already, yes, the outdoor temperature does affect the way your hybrid vehicle operates and the way it gives you the fuel economy and fuel savings on your vehicle. Now, notice that I did say hybrid vehicle. That's because this is globally across all manufacturers. This is just the way this technology works, and I'll explain it in just a second. But any hybrid vehicle, or even any electric vehicle, full electric vehicle, they do get their fuel economy affected a bit, and it does slightly change and worsen depending on what the temperature is outside. If it's drastically cold or much colder, then yes, you will get slightly worsened fuel economy. Now, if this does happen to you, or is happening to you, or did happen to you, don't panic, because it's completely normal. And it's just one of the factors that you have to keep in mind when you're going with a hybrid vehicle versus a non-hybrid vehicle. You still get great fuel economy. It's just slightly different when it's colder outside versus when it's warmer outside. In a nutshell, here's what happens. In cold weather, the chemical reaction that takes place within the hybrid motors and electric hybrid parts and batteries takes longer to happen as opposed to in warmer weather and warmer climates. So your gas engine, your combustion engine, will have to compensate to produce power and kick in more often. This will slightly worsen the fuel economy in the colder temperatures when compared to the warmer temperatures. Toyota hybrids can handle cold weather very well, and for our Toyota hybrid vehicles, you'll never have to manually control what your hybrid Toyota is doing because everything will take place on its own, from gear selection to acceleration to regenerative braking. But you can take precautions to help your vehicle perform at its best in terms of fuel economy. Let's go over a couple of things that you can do to help increase your fuel economy. Here's a few actions that you can do to help improve the fuel economy during those colder, more harsher months and seasons. Number one, try to park your vehicle inside your garage, parking garage, inside your workplace, whatever the case is, try to park your vehicle inside if it's possible. If it's not possible, no problem. Try to let your car idle for a bit and warm up before you start your commute and before you start your drive. Another step of action that you can take that might just help conserve some of that hybrid battery system's energy is during those harsh winter conditions or cold weather, try turning off your hybrid battery or your hybrid system's EV mode. This might help to conserve some energy. Now, keep in mind, this isn't new. If you haven't already heard this, you also burn slightly more fuel on your conventional non-hybrid gasoline combustion engines as well in the cold temperatures, probably around 10 to 20%, depending on your driving style and habits. And in terms of the hybrid systems, you can anticipate to burn anywhere from around 20 to 30% more fuel during those harsh winter conditions. Keep in mind the key benefits of buying a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota or just a hybrid Toyota in general. You're still going to have amazing fuel savings and fuel economy when compared to a non-hybrid Toyota, and you're still going to be able to enjoy a much more smoother and more responsive driving experience. Three factors that could potentially do some harm to your Toyota hybrid vehicle, and we're talking about specifically the electrical components or that high voltage battery that comes standard on pretty much every hybrid vehicle, and especially on the Toyota hybrid vehicles. Let's review which factors I'm talking about. These three factors that I'm talking about, which you want to stay away from if you're owning and driving a hybrid Toyota vehicle, are extreme temperatures, missing out on basic scheduled maintenance, and letting your Toyota hybrid sit idle for long periods of time. These will all do, over time, some kind of harm to your Toyota hybrid system. Let's talk about missing out on your basic scheduled routine maintenance that's recommended from Toyota. I've done a bunch of videos in the past pertaining to the routine scheduled maintenance and what you can expect on a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota. I'll put links in the description below. You can go back later and check them out, but that's not what this video is about. What I'm talking about here is actually missing out on your scheduled maintenance for your Toyota hybrid vehicle. Now, whether you're driving a RAV4 hybrid, Corolla hybrid, or a Camry hybrid, it really doesn't matter. There's not much that has to be done to service your hybrid system. That's right. Other than changing out your high voltage battery hybrid air filter system, which you want to make sure has proper airflow and the hybrid battery is getting the amount of proper airflow to cool down or to reach optimal operating temperatures, there really isn't much that has to be serviced on your hybrid powertrain systems other than your other stuff like your regular oil changes, your tire rotations. These are very common factors that pretty much apply to any vehicle that has a combustion engine. But in terms of your hybrid powertrain system, like I said, other than that air filter that needs to be checked on a regular basis and changed if needed, there isn't much that has to be done. Having a clogged or dirty air filter for your high voltage powertrain system or high voltage battery system would potentially cause some issues because the battery itself wouldn't be able to operate at the optimal temperature and might risk overheating. So don't miss your scheduled routine maintenance for your Toyota hybrid vehicle. Factor number 2, anything that has a high voltage battery system that partially or fully operates a moving vehicle, you don't want to have sit for too long over long periods of time and often. For example, if you're the type of customer that goes and travels 4 to 6 months out of the year and the other months you're using your hybrid Toyota vehicle, and the months you're gone, it's literally just sitting idle, then that's probably not the best suited vehicle for you, just because over time it could reduce the power and efficiency that comes out of your hybrid powertrain system, because batteries are not supposed to sit for long periods of time without being used. Which brings me kind of to my third factor, which is extreme temperatures. So we're talking about extreme heat or extreme cold. If you're driving and using your hybrid Toyota vehicle daily or every other day, and you're still in extreme temperatures, well, that will be just fine. You might realize and see that your fuel efficiency is slightly worse in your coldest temperatures, just because there is a chemical reaction that takes place in the hybrid electric powertrain system. And that chemical reaction does take slightly longer to happen in the cold temperatures, like -10, -15 degrees Celsius. And what I'm trying to say is basically your powertrain system will have to kick in a bit more on the combustion side versus your electric side during those cold months. But if you're regularly using the vehicle, it shouldn't really do any harm to your powertrain system. But if you're letting the vehicle sit out for a long period of time in the extreme cold or in the extreme heat without use, this could potentially over time do some kind of or reduce some kind of efficiency in your hybrid powertrain system. One thing you can do to help reduce any potential wear on the hybrid electric powertrain system, especially during those extreme cold temperatures, is when you start your Toyota hybrid vehicle, whether it's a RAV4, Camry, Highlander, Corolla, doesn't really matter. If it's hybrid and you're in an extreme cold temperature, like for us here in Canada, on an average, it's around -1 degree to -10 degrees throughout some of the winter months. It's best practice to let your vehicle or let your Toyota hybrid vehicle warm up for a few minutes before actually driving off. This will help get everything ready and everything at an optimal operating temperature to, one, give you the best possible fuel efficiency, and two, reduce the wear or potential wear on your hybrid electric system over time. The Toyota hybrid recommended scheduled service intervals versus an equivalent model non-hybrid Toyota vehicle. And to what might surprise a lot of viewers, buyers, and customers, the hybrid and non-hybrid service recommendations and intervals for the most part are identical. There's a lot of speculation out there that because hybrid Toyotas are a little bit more complex, which to that they are, and there are some additional parts that you don't necessarily have in the non-hybrid Toyota, that when you drive, let's say, a RAV4 hybrid versus driving a RAV4 non-hybrid, you might have to visit the service shop and get your RAV hybrid into the service department more frequently or more often. Or speaking to that, the actual service cost and the maintenance might be more higher and more expensive on the hybrid version Toyota vehicle. Rest assured, everyone, this actually is not the case. I'm going to review it just ahead in this video, but before I do, make sure you smash a thumbs up for this video, like it, subscribe if you haven't already to the best Toyota channel on YouTube, the Toyota World YouTube channel. All right, first, let's just talk about a very broad explanation of what a hybrid Toyota vehicle is. So there's a couple of different variants of hybrid powertrain systems, at least in the Toyota world. For example, there's the plug-in hybrid, which is on the RAV4 and the Prius. There's full EV, so no combustion engine whatsoever. That's something like the Toyota BZ4X. And then there's the very common hybrid powertrain system. Now, the hybrid powertrain system is usually comprised of a gasoline combustion engine, which also yields and works alongside an electric motor hooked up to a high voltage battery. Now, this hybrid powertrain system can be a variant of different hybrid powertrain models that Toyota has and offers, like the Hybrid Synergy Drive, the THS hybrid system, or what's in the Toyota Camry 2025, which I say in a lot of my videos is the best hybrid powertrain system out, which is the best hybrid powertrain system that Toyota offers, which is the THS 5 hybrid system. Toyota's hybrid powertrain system is designed to be seamless. There's no recharging that you would have to do. There's no plugging in of anything. So what happens is you have your combustion engine, but typically the vehicle will start driving in the electric motor. Now, various conditions would alter that, and it would yield to the combustion engine at various times depending on how forcefully you accelerate, what your speed is, the temperature outside, and so on. But for the most part, you'll be driving some portion of your transportation when you're at lower speeds, lower acceleration on electric mode. And then as you gradually pass those thresholds, the electric motor will kick out and kick in your combustion engine in terms of charging. There's no charging involved that you have to do every time you brake. It's called regenerative braking. You're sending power back to that high voltage battery and recycling this energy, which gets stored and which gets put back to your high voltage battery in your Toyota hybrid vehicle. Guys, if you want a very detailed or a more detailed explanation of the Toyota hybrid powertrain system, how it works, what to expect in terms of fuel economy, how to increase longevity, there's an ebook available. You can get it. I'll put a link in the description below. This explains a little bit more details of the in-depth applications of a hybrid powertrain system from Toyota. It's about 50 pages long, but let's continue on with these service intervals on the non-hybrid versus the hybrid. All right, so when it comes to regular service intervals and regular maintenance, things like oil changes, brake inspections, tire rotations, and fluid checks, the Toyota hybrid system actually follows the same schedule as their non-hybrid counterparts. And that's because both alternatives, the hybrid and the non-hybrid, have very similar key core components, and they operate in the same fashion in terms of transportation. Now, yes, the hybrid system does have a large high voltage battery, it has an electric motor, and a few other components that you don't really get in the non-hybrid version. But key components like combustion engine, transmission, and even suspension are all very similar, if not identical. So that means that, yeah, regular service intervals of every 6 months or so are still going to apply with the non-hybrid versus the hybrid. Now, what about that high voltage battery that usually sits under the floor bed of your hybrid Toyota RAV4, Highlander, Corolla Cross, whatever the case is? Well, you'll be rest assured and very pleased that you get a very large and generous manufacturer warranty on that high voltage battery of 10 years or 240,000 kilometers, whichever comes first. So in other words, in terms of your hybrid system, Toyota has you covered for the long haul. And as per any services or anything like that on the hybrid high voltage battery, there's really nothing to do unless something for whatever reason goes wrong. There's no coolants, there's no oil changes on the high voltage battery, no fluid changes, nothing really to check on in terms of needing maintenance or wear and tear on that high voltage battery, like I said, unless you notice something different or not going as planned. So in a nutshell, Toyota has designed their hybrid Toyotas to be just as easy to service and maintain as their non-hybrid vehicles, which is great because a lot of our vehicles nowadays do have many variants in hybrid powertrain systems. And for the most part, some of our models are starting to come in hybrid only. Toyota Sienna, Camry, the Crown Signia lineup, the Land Cruiser, and I think there will be more as time goes on. Like for example, The new Gen RAV, I think, is going to be hybrid only. So really, there's not much that's different. Yes, you still have to do some particulars and checks on your hybrid powertrain system when you're in for service, which goes into your scheduled recommended routine maintenance, but it's not much different than what you've got to do on your gasoline version Toyota vehicle. For example, you got to make sure that the air filter that filters and cools down your electric hybrid high voltage battery, for example, is checked regularly and changed when it needs to be changed, because you want to make sure that the operating temperature is optimal for the system so that it performs and gives you the best fuel economy possible. But in fact, things like oil changes and those type of intervals on your non-hybrid are the same as your hybrid Toyota vehicle. They're not any sooner and they're not any later. So really, other than that additional check of your high voltage cooling system to make sure that the airflow is proper and that it's operating at an optimal temperature, there isn't much that differs from the non-hybrid to the hybrid. Now, yes, you might be saying, what about that high voltage battery? But guys, I just told you about the manufacturer's warranty from Toyota. It's long and Toyota has you covered for quite a while. Yes, there's a possibility that down the road you might have to replace the battery if something goes wrong. But keep in mind, those chances are very small, very minimal. And for my own experience, I've been with Toyota for almost 18 years, and I don't recall us ever having to replace a hybrid high voltage battery to my recollection, and we service a lot of hybrid Toyota vehicles. So it goes without saying, yeah, if you have that extra component, yeah, the risk is there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you'd have to run into that problem or that you would run into that problem. Keep in mind, if you do your regular routine scheduled checks and maintenances, it would avoid any of this in the future anyways. Hopefully, I've helped debunk the myth that the hybrid Toyotas have to go into the shop more often for longer periods of time and might cost more to maintain when compared to the non-hybrid Toyota. Really, the only factor there is your high voltage battery. But like I said, I just gave you the stats on that, and I just explained the very invasive, long manufacturer's warranty that comes with that high voltage battery and the hybrid powertrain system. You are the owner of a new Toyota hybrid vehicle, whether it's a compact sedan, pickup truck, or family SUV, or you're considering getting a Toyota hybrid vehicle, then this video is for you. I'm gonna break down how to potentially save some money down the road on your hybrid Toyota and ensure longevity, performance, and of course, the reason why you got a Toyota hybrid, efficiency. There's one key fact that I'm going to mention a little bit later on in this video that probably none of you really thought about, but I'm going to give you this tip just ahead. First off, let's talk about the general maintenance requirements on a Toyota hybrid versus a non-hybrid Toyota vehicle. If you pull up the scheduled routine maintenance recommendation from Toyota on, let's say, a late model 2024 or a 2025 Toyota hybrid vehicle and compare it with the non-hybrid equivalent, you will see that the recommended maintenance is quite similar when comparing both vehicles side by side. In fact, there are a couple of components underneath the hood of a regular combustion Toyota vehicle that just simply don't exist on the hybrid version or equivalent. For example, alternators. Hybrid vehicles do not have alternators, so it's one less thing to go wrong or break down later on down the road in life. Also, starters. Hybrid vehicles do not have starters underneath the hood like your regular convention non-hybrid Toyotas have. Again, one more key component that gets your vehicle going that you don't really have to worry about later on down the road. Now, as you may expect, as the vehicle ages and gets more kilometers or miles on it, the average routine scheduled maintenance cost for the year might creep up a bit, but keep in mind on your non-hybrid Toyota, like I said, there's a couple key components that could wear out over time that you just simply don't have to deal with under the hood, like alternators, starters, and more. Now, luckily, there is an ebook that you can get, which is just down below in the channel, which breaks down a whole bunch of stuff in terms of Toyota hybrid vehicles. If you're a first-time Toyota hybrid owner, or even a second or third time Toyota hybrid owner, there's a lot of information in this ebook that perhaps you didn't know or you can learn to help take the most advantage out of owning a hybrid Toyota vehicle. Things like what to expect in terms of maintenance, how to service, and how to care for your Toyota hybrid vehicle to make sure it performs at its best. Now that we've covered what you can expect in terms of routine scheduled maintenance on a hybrid Toyota versus a non-hybrid Toyota, let's talk about how you could potentially save some money down the road and ensure performance and longevity and efficiency in your Toyota hybrid vehicle. Here's a few tips. Number one, yes, hybrid and Toyota, they're fantastic. They go hand in hand. We do it the best since 1997, in my opinion. With the start of the first Prius, we've really perfected the hybrid technology, and they're great. And that's probably why you've owned one or have one or are about to own one. But keep in mind, do not skip your scheduled recommended maintenance. If you have a maintenance at 16,000 kilometers or 60,000 kilometers, make sure that you do that maintenance at a certified Toyota dealer and make sure that you're on time for it. You don't want to show up, 6 or 8,000 kilometers late for your scheduled routine maintenance. And it's something that is very important and vital to the way that your hybrid Toyota performs. And yes, this includes basic maintenances like oil changes. You still need to do oil changes on hybrid Toyota vehicles. That doesn't change, that doesn't go away. Yes, Toyota uses synthetic, which is a very high quality oil for those combustion engines, but don't miss or don't be late for your recommended scheduled maintenance. And keep in mind that when your vehicle's in the certified Toyota dealer, which is why you want to go to a certified Toyota store for your hybrid Toyota maintenance, they have the ability to perform software updates if there is any or if it requires any to help ensure the performance and the overall longevity of your hybrid Toyota. Here's another great tip that I have for Toyota hybrid vehicle owners. Another great way to save a bit of money and increase your fuel cost on your hybrid Toyota vehicle is to change your driving habits. Hybrid vehicles are all about energy conservation, so smart driving is crucial for longevity and for fuel efficiency. For example, in your Toyota hybrid vehicle, try to avoid aggressive hard acceleration or sudden forceful braking. Instead, try to aim for a more smooth and gradual acceleration as you're taking off and getting onto your drive. Another great tip is to use regenerative braking whenever you can and whenever it's possible. Regenerative braking recharges your battery and reduces wear and tear on key components like brake pads and more, which can save you on replacement costs down the road. That's right, hybrid Toyota vehicles use regenerative braking. This helps to get the vehicle slowing down without having to forcefully push on the brakes. And this actually also helps to recharge your battery because it sends energy back to your high voltage battery system. All of this does mean and could mean a longer life for your brake system on your Toyota hybrid vehicle. Now, you're still going to want to get your brake system inspected and checked out as per your scheduled routine maintenance recommendation from Toyota. Just because the hybrid Toyotas have regenerative braking doesn't mean you can or you're going to want to neglect your brake system. But for the most part, because of regenerative braking, you shouldn't have to service or replace your Toyota hybrid brake system as often as a traditional non-hybrid Toyota, and make sure to have your brake fluid inspected, as keeping it at the optimal level is crucial for performance. Another tip for Toyota hybrid vehicle owners is to check your tire pressure on your hybrid Toyota. An overinflated tire or an underinflated tire can create some issues down the road, like uneven wear, the need for more frequent alignments. An underinflated tire can cause your hybrid Toyota to use more energy, which impacts fuel efficiency. So get your tires inspected regularly and have them rotated as per the scheduled routine maintenance from Toyota. Another tip I have, and this goes back to making sure you service at a certified Toyota dealer, is you don't want to really have any aftermarket parts in your hybrid Toyota vehicle. And this goes all the way from, oil filters, air filters, whether it's cabin air filters, engine air filters, or high voltage battery air filters, spark plugs, whatever you think you're saving by going to a non-Toyota store, or whatever you are saving really could come back to haunt you later on down the road if it creates any issues, or when it creates any issues. And you also don't want to play around with avoiding any warranty that you're covered for on your Toyota hybrid vehicle. All right, everyone, my last tip, and this is probably what no one really thinks about. If you're keeping your Toyota hybrid for the long haul, and realistically nowadays a long haul means 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, because we're seeing a lot of Toyota hybrid owners change out and get into new Toyota hybrid vehicles very frequently. But if you're keeping your vehicle, for example, 7 to 10, 12 years, and you're at the point where your factory warranty is about to run out. For example, for us here in Canada, the powertrain, engine and powertrain components are covered for 5-year, 100,000 kilometers. So before you hit that mark, let's say around the 4-year and 80,000 kilometer mark, make sure you're not skipping your scheduled recommended routine maintenance, and make sure that your vehicle is in the shop getting checked out. Because if there is anything potentially that is taking place in your Toyota hybrid vehicle, you want to make sure that you catch this with your Toyota service department before the vehicle runs out of any warranty from the factory. This is a great time to make sure you do a health check and a visual inspection on many different areas and aspects of your Toyota hybrid vehicle to make sure that you don't incur any additional cost on your hybrid Toyota vehicle if you're keeping it for the long haul.